Hi, everyone. Jennifer and Robin here with Hungry for More, and we are on episode 28, if you can believe that. And
Awesome.
today, this is Robin said, here's what we can do our next podcast on. And I thought it was such a perfect one. And I'm going to tell you why. I had an experience with this yesterday. But today we want to talk about a lot of people will say, well, how do you know if you're getting enough food or if you're getting enough nutrients? Yesterday, I was at lunch for a girlfriend's birthday, and some of the gals that were there that I didn't know, everybody was sharing what they do and da 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 da. And
Yeah.
she said, oh my gosh, I just get so sick of counting and weighing everything. She does a program. I go, well, does that tell you when you feel? She goes, no, sometimes I get done eating and I still feel hungry. And
Yeah.
sometimes I feel full, or I don't want to eat it all, but I'm supposed to eat it. So I shove it in. I said, okay, there is no book or no program out there that knows what your body needs at the time your body needs it. Because for me, from day to day, I can wake up one morning and be hungry, and then the next day wake up and not be hungry till 2 p.m. And
Mhm.
sometimes, depending on like when my cycle is going to be, I may be more hungry. And then once I start
Right.
my cycle, I'm less hungry. You know what I mean? Like it's revolving. So
Mhm.
how can I follow this black and white plan every day of you need this much, this much, this much? So today we are going to give you 3 solid points to help you understand and know guidelines, if you will, to know if you're getting enough food and if you're getting enough nutrients for your body, because it's really about the nutrition. Like, we know that there's foods we can eat that give us more nutrients compared to others, and we don't have to omit them all. But here's some points we want to give you. So the first one is using a hormone that we have talked so much about, but we haven't really talked about it in the last few podcasts. And
Yeah.
that is using the hormone leptin. And it's really stopping to eat when you're feeling satisfied, not when you're full, because what happens when you stop when you're really full, then the rest of the food goes down and you're like, oh. And
Mhm.
one of the things that people in our program that we work with say is it's so amazing because they can't even remember the last time that they walked away from a meal feeling bloated or like they have to unbutton the top button of their pants because
Mhm.
they haven't been doing this overstuffing thing, right? Where
Right.
oh my gosh, that was the regular for me back in the day. And
Totally.
it's
Mhm.
just really nice. But stopping when you feel satisfied and not overstuffed is the very first point to this. And there's no book or diet or anything out there that tells you that, right? Like it tells
Right.
you to
Or
eat this, this,
number.
and this. So we're
Mhm.
telling you, listen to your body, stop when you're satisfied, and don't overfill yourself. That's the number one point.
Right. That's how you can know that you're getting enough food, right? That hormone will signal to you.
Yep.
Great. Love that leptin comes in handy. Number 2 is that you feel satiated for at least 3 to 4 hours, if not more. So this is on the part where this is how you can know that you've eaten the enough good nutrients for your body. When sometimes, actually, I'm skipping ahead, aren't I?
No, you're good.
Okay, so yeah, you have enough balanced energy, meaning if a good little litmus test for you is I know if I am hungry again 2 hours after I've just eaten, that's a clue to me that my last meal wasn't nutrient dense enough to hold me through, right? I probably ate more of the, higher glucose type of foods that are going to hit me high and burn fast. And then I'm going to feel hungry again sooner. So again, we never give a template of like, here's what you do, and it has to be 3 hours or bust. There's times, again, depending on my cycle or whatever, I might find myself more on that 3 hour line. And then there's times I go 4 to 5 hours and I feel just fine. But a helpful way for you to know if you're giving yourself enough nutrients when you do eat. So say you even fill to full satisfaction, but if you're not filling with the nutrients your body is needing for that energy, you will find that you are hungry sooner than 3 hours. And that's just a helpful hint. I used to think it's because my blood sugar was an issue. And there are those cases, but what I have learned is we are less blood sugar. What's it called? My low blood sugar.
Uh,
We have less of that issue than really it being a medical issue that you have to absolutely have that food in
right.
2 hours. Okay. So
Right.
if you do, we're not speaking to that. We're speaking to, you're normal in those ranges. But when you do eat, even to the satisfaction level, and if you find yourself hungry again under that 3-hour mark, that's a clue that that meal wasn't nutrient dense enough. And just real quick, we'll touch on that. The priorities on your plate to help it be nutrient rich for your body and get what it needs for that energy, you're going to prioritize vegetables, fats, and proteins.
Yeah.
So sometimes I can look back and say, yeah, I didn't have any protein with that meal. No wonder I'm hungry again, right? So that's a really helpful way to gauge if you're getting enough nutrients your body needs, is to see how far you're being spaced between those meals. Because when you get the nutrients you need, your insulin, your blood sugar will take you through 3, 4, 5 hours in between.
Right. And, you know, to give you a good example of that, like I could eat a bowl of popcorn, okay, or I could have a chicken breast, and that chicken breast is going to hold me over for hours. And the popcorn, I'm probably going to be hungry pretty quick because that sugar is going to go up and then come down. And it's not to say you can't have popcorn. There's times where you can have popcorn. You've just got to make sure you're getting those nutrients in. And I'm going to throw in one last plug here as a good rule of thumb, because we're not saying no to all the other stuff. Start with your nutrient dense foods. Like Robin said, make sure you get your vegetables in, you get your proteins, you get your healthy fats in, and then move on to the food that we love is so delicious, but really doesn't have a nutrient value, while still listening to stop when you're satisfied.
Right. That kind of rounds out
wanting that treat at the end of your meal. It's not eat your meal till you're satisfied and then have the treat, work it into the satisfaction.
Right. While prioritizing the nutrients. Yeah. Good point. I'm glad you clarified that. Good.
Okay. And then the third point, and this is so funny to me, but it's don't leave the meal craving more. Okay. One thing to what Robin just said, if your body is full, like your stomach is full, because there's two parts to this. If your stomach is full, but you still feel like you want something, check the nutrient level of the food you just ate, because you're probably nutrient hungry and not physically hungry. So that's another thing. But I was telling Robin, there was this time years ago where I went to this kind of foofy restaurant with my girlfriends. And my one girlfriend and I, we had ordered a salad, and it was supposed to have chicken on it, and it had like some berries. There wasn't a lot of protein except for the chicken. And it was like a few little slices of chicken, but everybody was just loving their meal. And I was like, okay, I'm going to need a steak or something here, because this is not doing it for me. I ate it. It was delicious, but I was hungry still. It wasn't like I was just craving something. I was genuinely hungry. And we got done and they left, and I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, I need more food. And she's like, me too. Well, this is pre-conscious eating, right? Pre-checking in, pre-doing all of this. We walk across the street to the grocery store, and I remember we went to the bakery and bought this box of like peanut butter bars. We just chowed on them and felt like garbage afterwards. But I'm not saying you guys do that like Jen did, but I'm literally the example of all the things that used to be unconscious. So I reformed. But don't leave a meal craving more. There's appropriate times, and we've talked about this, so we're not going to get into it, for snacks when but you're really trying to make it from meal to meal. And you don't want this meal time that lasts 3 hours because you didn't eat enough. And so then you go, maybe 30 minutes later, you grab a little something else and a little something else. Make sure you satisfy that leptin and you satisfy that nutrient hunger, which is our point 1 and 2 in your meal. Don't walk away from a meal feeling I would say unsatisfied, but really unsatiated. Make sure you are feeling content, good, and that you're full, that you're physically, your body is full and ready to go. And a rule of thumb for me is I like to say, I feel full. Could I get up and go on a walk right now? And enjoy it, and not be like, oh, I need to go digest for 20 minutes. So it's kind of where I sit with that, with all of this. But don't leave a meal craving more, because then you walk across the parking lot and you make decisions that aren't great.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to make sure we tie what you're saying. Don't leave a meal craving more, even though your stomach feels fully satisfied, but you're craving more. That's a signal to you that yes, you filled your belly, you met the physical hunger, but there's a nutrient hunger still being asked of you. Right.
And I would say most of the time we're physically full. I would say that if we go to a restaurant, I mean, the serving sizes and stuff they give nowadays, we don't need to eat all of that.
Yeah,
most
we need to
of the time,
pack. Yeah, we need to
right?
pack some away. Yeah.
Nutrient hunger is really, really the thing here. And I'm telling you, if you flip flop, like if you go to a restaurant that serves bread at the table, right when you sit down, eat your bread, but eat it at the end of the meal. So it's not filling your stomach with the food that doesn't have the nutrients. That way, when that salad comes and your protein comes and your veggies and you eat them, and then you're like, yeah, okay, I still want the bread or I don't want the bread, right? We usually eat it because it's there. And then you will walk away feeling really good. Whereas if you start the meal with that bread, and then a lot of people try to still fit that whole meal in, you can walk away feeling overstuffed and just not good and probably hungry sooner than later because you didn't have that protein and things in you.
Right. Or the scenario, so you gave the scenario, yeah, the bread first and then still cramming in the meal because that's really what you came for. But say you ate the bread first and you still stopped eating. You listened to that leptin and you stopped eating. But because of the priority the bread got in filling your stomach, and then you just ate the last, the first bits of your meal, but the last of your stomach space got full with that, and you're saving the rest of the meal for later, you're still going to be upside down on that nutrient density, right? It's going to be bread had the priority. I got a little bite of meat and some vegetables, but now I'm full, so I'm going to stop, but bread got the priority. You will feel a difference on your nutrient hunger and how quickly you get hungry again versus turning that upside down. Like you said, saving that bread to be the thing that finishes the fullness level for you, but you've prioritized the nutrients first.
Yes.
This is scientific information. We did not make it up. This is based on science and how your body interacts with glucose and the different foods and how much they produce, right? How much they produce in starches and in sugars. So let's recap.
Okay. 1, don't eat until you're overstuffed. Stop when you're satisfied.
Stop when you're satisfied. Number 2, if you eat and you find that you're hungry again within 3-hour window, take a look and see what you ate that last meal and see what you can do to raise the nutrient level up. Again, it could be just inverting how you ate. Like, oh, I'm going to make sure I get my proteins and fats and veggies first. And sometimes it means I didn't eat enough of one of those and I had too much of the starches or something.
Right. And then the third thing is don't leave a meal craving more.
Even with a full belly.
Even with a full belly. And here's something I want to say to all of this, because use this as a science experiment on yourself, because it's really interesting. Like if you're like, wow, I'm hungry again. Why am I hungry? And then you look back and go, oh, because I filled up on my rice before I added my protein. That's so interesting. Okay, so my body needs to have this first. So really look at it, because we're not in a race here. We're trying to figure it out for our body and what works for us. But I'm telling you, you will find, I believe you will find that if you eat those nutrient dense foods first, a lot of this will just fall into place by itself. Because when we're hungry and we sit down and they place that bread in front of us with the cinnamon honey butter or whatever it is, and you just start eating that, by the time your dinner salad comes, you're like, I'm not full. I mean, I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
I'm full. And your tummy is feeling like, oh, if you can say, and it seems so awkward and so hard to do, hey, will you hold the bread and bring it when my meal comes? I find, I won't say you're gonna, because I won't tell you what you're gonna feel, but I find that when I finish my meal at the end, most of the time I don't even care about the bread.
Yeah.
Because I've just filled up on nutrients. But there are times where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll have some today.
Right. I think the important point to finish all this up too is to say, isn't it wonderful that all of this, all you need is your body for? You need your brain to pay attention to what's going on with your body, but you don't need some outside template that you're trying to fit to know that you've eaten the right amount for your body and that you're eating the right amount of nutrients. Both of that information will come from your body with the feedback. If I feel overstuffed, my body is going to let me know that. And then I can know that that's not the right amount for my body. It was too much. And then again, if I'm hungry too soon, then I can know, or if I'm still hungry after my fullness, then my body's giving me the feedback and is pointing to the nutrients I'm eating, and then I need to reprioritize. And I love that it comes back to that the body has the information, it gives you the signals and the feedback and the data for you to work with, rather than trying to cram numbers and fit somebody else's guidelines for you. So
Right.
love that.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. Put it to the test. Start paying attention to that. And I think you will notice a big difference. Okay.
Okay,
Have
awesome.
a
See you
great
guys later.
day.